Welcome to the Monica Kelly Light Body Podcast. Introducing your host, Monica Kelly.
Hello, this is Monica Kelly, and this is part 2 of the 5 aspects of yourself. In part 1, we kind of went over what those 5 aspects were: physical, mental, emotional, energetic, and soulful bodies. And in this broadcast, I'm talking about how all of the bodies are interrelated, how they all are working holistically or as a whole to comprise who you are. Now, because they're all integrated, they're all different aspects of yourself, when you heal in one body, you will automatically heal in all the other bodies. It's almost as if you could assign a number on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being optimal, 1 being terrible. So on a scale from 1 to 10, what number would you assign your physical body, for example? What number would you assign your mental body, your emotional body, your energetic body, and your soulful body? So if you were to assign numbers to all of those 5 aspects, and then you were to take an average, you would get where you are as a total holistic health. Where are you? Now, if you decide, get up one day and you say, you know what, I am going to lose weight. I'm going to start exercising. I'm going to cut out junky foods, processed foods, sugar. I'm going to detox. I'm going to start running. I'm going to start my yoga practice. I'm going to heal in my physical body. Well, let's say you do that, and some time passes, 3 months pass, and you make significant progress in your physical body. Now we reassign the numbers, so your physical body number would go higher, right? Your other bodies may have improved or not. You could also assign them numbers as you are improving in your physical body, but let's say your physical body is up to a 6 from a 2. That's going to change your overall holistic average across the board, right? So by choosing to heal in one aspect of yourself and raise the level in that one specific aspect, you raise across the board. And that's more or less how we are approaching healing right now in the West medicine. You go to a physical doctor if you are physically sick. You go to a psychological doctor, or a coach if you are having experiences with depression or sadness or negative thinking. You might choose to go see a spiritual counselor or a clergyman if you are feeling disconnected or angry at God. We need to move, it's my hope that we move in the direction of holistic thinking, so that we can have a better way in which we heal the body. But just be aware that right now in 2015, the way in which Western society is choosing to heal is body by body, as opposed to having a holistic vision of the person. Of course, if you seek a naturopath or some of the alternative medicines, or if you're going to someone that is working holistically, they have this vision for healing. I'm going to heal you or look at you across all of the different bodies. But unfortunately, Western medicine specifically is done a terrible job of healing in this way. They tend just to look at the physical body. They don't look at anything else. And in a lot of cases, they're not even looking at the physical body, right? They're looking at lab reports. They're not even looking you in the eye. They're looking straight down into a piece of paper and giving you a mathematical synopsis of what they think is wrong with you based on numbers. Not that that isn't accurate if that's what your criteria is, just that it's completely incomplete. And I think most people would agree with this, patients and doctors. There is a feeling of incompleteness. When you start to look at disease or look at imbalances, you can literally see that different types of cancers are connected to different emotional states. A very angry person, for example, might end up having a heart attack. A person that's full of toxins or pollutes their body, let's say with alcohol, will end up with liver disease. And on and on. And there have been many authors that have written about the connection of emotional imbalances and how they create physical imbalances and vice versa. So this is not a new concept. It's just one that's not forefront in our healing modalities in the West. Now, these 5 bodies should have a hierarchy. So if you were to look at a pyramid, imagine a pyramid in your mind, at the very top of the pyramid, in an optimal functioning human, your soulful body would be at the top of the pyramid, and it would be directing or guiding the other 4 aspects of yourself. This is when we say you're connected to yourself at the level of your higher self. You are on your journey. You are following your passion. That means that you are connected to your soulful body and it is leading the pack. Down below, on the second level of the pyramid, you would see the other 4 bodies. That is the physical body, the mental body, the emotional body, and the energetic body. And they should be following the leadership of the soulful body, right? Because your soulful body knows your life purpose. Your soulful body understands your passion. Your soulful body has all of these understandings unconsciously, or if you've done some work consciously, about who you are, what you are here for, and what you are becoming. So when we are following that, we're feeling pretty good. Now, what happens typically when there's imbalance is that we have become cut off from our soulful body. There's a lot of different reasons for this. One is a lot of the younger generations aren't going to church like they used to. They're not feeling God. They're not enjoying the message. They're seeing a lot of contradictions, or they've been hurt by the church, right? So church is kind of pushed over to the side. Or maybe they're lost and confused. I haven't really taken the time to think about it. I don't know. Seems pretty difficult down here on the planet. This is a pretty dark and toxic planet. If God were alive and available to us, why is it in the state that it's in? I'm just going to live my life, whatever. I would call that lost and confused. There's other people who are very good people. I'm a good person. I want to do good in the world. But they are not interested in spiritual practice or forming that connection or relationship which makes love, joy, peace, and light real and tangible to them. So there's a lot of reasons why we disconnect from the soulful body. Now, what happens in our life is sometimes we'll run into a problem. We will have some kind of deficiency. And when we are disconnected from our soulful body, one of the 4 other bodies will try to compensate. So let's say your physical body is the most available, strongest body of the 4, and it decides to step forward and compensate for the lack of leadership because your soulful body is disconnected or unconscious to you. Your physical body will step forward and it will say, I can help you solve this problem. I can help you with this deficiency. I will take the leadership role and I will work to solve this problem. Now, the physical body, what is it good at? It's good at digesting. It's good at eating. So this is just an example of an emotional eater that I'm giving here, illustrating. I'm feeling lonely this evening, and so I will eat. If I eat, I will comfort myself. If I eat, I will satisfy that emotional space in my body that feels loneliness. I'll give myself pleasure. I'll pleasure myself. Yes, I'll eat some ice cream, and that will lift me up. The problem, of course, in this illustration with using food to solve problems is it causes a lot of, side effects like obesity or becoming unhealthy in some way or eating the wrong kinds of foods. A quick story. One time I had someone come in for hypnosis, and he was being hypnotized all the way to the level of his higher self. And one of his main questions is, why am I an emotional eater? He was conscious that he was eating emotionally, but he didn't know why. So he wanted to be hypnotized to find out why he was an emotional eater. And when I hypnotized him and asked him this question, his higher self said, Doritos are fun. He eats because it's fun and fulfilling. And Doritos are fun. That's what sticks out in my mind from that session. And he's hiding, and he's withdrawn. And what he needs is social interactions, people in his life, activities, pursuits of the spirit. But instead, it's just, so much more convenient and easy to come home, sit down, pull out a bag of chips, start munching. And instead of engaging in life and engaging in his passion, he would instead just eat for fun. And food was providing an entertainment. And instead of doing what was difficult and challenging, which would be to join a meetup group or find some friends or organization or study group, get out of the house, go exercise, he would come home and sit and eat. And as a result, had gained a significant amount of weight throughout the course of his lifetime. So this is an illustration of when the physical body takes control and tries to solve your problem. Now, when the mental body tries to solve your problem, you know the effect of that. That's when we start to overthink things, can't turn it off, monkey mind, we call it in yoga, think too much, start to produce negative outcomes, and worry. So yeah, if you think about it, what is the mind good at? The mind is extremely good at thinking. And when you get a problem, let's say your problem, the illustration this time will be you don't like your work situation, or you don't like a specific character in your work situation, which is giving you a hard time, and you're trying to figure out what to do, if you should file a complaint, if you should fight back, if you should quit the job, if you should look for a new job, if you should, stand up for yourself. You're having a really hard time with this person at work. Well, let's say that your soulful body is disconnected. You're not really relying on that for the solution. And your strongest body is going to be your mental body in your aspects of yourself. So the mental body comes and it steps forward and it says, I can solve this problem. I definitely can. Let's think about it. Yep, and let's think about it some more. Let's keep thinking about it. Keep thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it. You see where I'm going with this? The mental body is very good at problem solving and strategizing and keeping your intellect running. The reality, though, is thinking or worrying about a problem isn't going to solve your problem. It's just going to exhaust you as you continue to think about the problem. And people often find themselves in this situation. Another thing that the mental body will do, especially when it's not disciplined or connected to the higher self, is it will conceive of every possible negative outcome. Occasionally, we'll conceive of positive outcomes. But typically what I see in my practice is conceiving of negative outcomes. What if I lose this job? What happens if I do retaliate? Will it make it worse for me? What if this boss calls me on the phone and chews me out? What if I make a mistake, right? What if is the mental body doing what it's good at, coming up with possible outcomes, but in a negative way. I call this negative spinning. And when we get into negative spinning, it's just a terrible situation. I'll be talking more about negative spinning at a different time when I address worrying in the thinking mind. But suffice to say, the mind is not the most adequate body to solve problems, but it will step forward when we are disconnected from the higher self. So be conscious of that. And those people out there who are very intellectual, they're very smart, they're very technical, they're very well educated, they're math and science people, they especially will have a very strong intellect. And that intellect, when not disciplined, will always shoot up to the top and take control of the situation. And sometimes it's not in the highest best interest of that person. Most of the times it's not. Now, when the emotional body tries to handle the situation, tries to solve a problem, it will also create imbalances in the system, in the emotional body. So an example of the emotional body trying to solve the problem or handle the situation is when it steps forward in an imbalanced way, it will usually overreact to situations for which normally there is an underlying false belief or underlying subconscious issue. And rather than being conscious of the underlying or subconscious issue, we just overreact. And of course, I see this a lot in therapy. Anger is the easiest emotion to express. So sometimes we are triggering too hard or becoming overly emotional with anger in this illustration, rather than dealing with the underlying issue. So let's say the underlying issue is I'm not beautiful enough, or I feel insecure. And, you put on a nice outfit to go out to dinner with your significant other, and they walk in the room and say, oh, is that what you're wearing? Now, the significant other had no idea, of course, that we were going out to a formal restaurant. He kind of thought we were going to a casual diner, so he was just making a comment on the attire very innocently. But the person who is dressed up and wearing the formal dress overreacts with anger, gets really, really upset. What? You don't like what I'm wearing? You always have something negative to say to me, and lets the other person have it. The significant other is wondering, what is going on? All I said is that what you're wearing? The other person read that as something negative. That's because there's an underlying issue there. I feel insecure, or I'm not beautiful enough. And when somebody says something, there is this emotional firing, and that's the emotional body being out of balance or dealing with this underlying issue incorrectly, rather than at the level of the higher self. A second illustration of the emotional body being out of balance is when we are highly sensitive, too sensitive, to the point where we don't even know why. This happens a lot with teenagers, for example, who are feeling heavy and depressed, and they'll cry for no reason. They'll be sitting there at the dinner table, and they'll get overwhelmed and just start to cry. And a lot of times they can't even consciously place that. Like, why am I feeling so sad? Where does this emotion come from? They are just using their emotional body as a mechanism for clearing something deeper. Now, that's not the only reason why a teenager might cry. So I want to put that out there with that illustration. But oftentimes we have highly sensitive emotional reactions, and we don't even know why. And we're actually using the emotional body to help us clear. Here's another example is you have a breakup with a boyfriend, and you haven't really grieved that loss. Whatever. You said, you got dumped, whatever, walked away, on to the next. But then you go to see a movie, and it's a tragedy, and the woman gets her heart broken, in the movie. And there is this huge, strong projection and reaction emotionally, lots and lots and lots of tears for this movie. Really, what's happening unconsciously is clearing an underlying issue of grief or loss of this boyfriend that was really, really liked, felt there was a potential there, and they took off. So that's another way in which the emotional body might try to clear or take control. The last one is sometimes the emotional body will want to solve a problem, specifically other people's problems, and so they will feel what the other person is feeling. For example, this is called empathy. We have empathy. I see this a lot in teenagers. They'll come into the office and they will say, all of my friends are suicidal, or my best friend just went through a divorce, whatever the story is. In their own life experience, there's nothing wrong. They're in a happy home, parents are together, but they are empathizing with a friend, and they'll take on that other person's emotions, trying to help them solve their problem. This, of course, is a terrible strategy to help anybody solve their problems. More on empathy and empathetic reactions in another broadcast. Suffice to say, this is one way in which the emotional body seeks to solve problems. It will become empathetic and take on too much. Finally, we have the energy body, and the energy body will often try to solve your problems. And even when we are completely unconscious of the energy body, which is, probably 8 out of 10 people have never even heard of the energy body, and yet the energetic body or the etheric body is working to solve problems when we are not connected at the level of our higher self. So when the energy body moves to the forefront of the pyramid, it will try to do these things. The first one is it will take on the energy of other people. This kind of goes back to the emotional body feeling what the other person is feeling. It will take on that energy. Now, the emotional body and the energy body are somewhat connected, and I will be talking more about that. So they're more interrelated than the other aspects. So these 2 points are related but different. Taking on the energy of others. You feel sad. You feel unhappy. Let me give you a hug. And if I give you a hug, I will take some of that energy out of your system, and I'll hold it in my own. Slightly different than empathetic response. You will take or transmute energy from one person to another person. And this can be done in a way that is beneficial as a healer, but most people, again, are doing this unconsciously. The second point, clearing your own energy field with only the mechanism of yourself rather than using divine source. So the energy body will, when it gets heavy, it will want to help itself out. Again, even unconsciously, it will want to clear itself. Unfortunately, if we are not connected to the level of our higher self, or if we're not connected to divine source, instead of channeling in pure white light energy, Reiki energy, the energy of love, light, and joy to clear our energetic body, we kind of will run a recycling system where we are trying to clear our own energetic field, but only at the level of our energetic self. And that is a circle that does not produce healing in the body. Another point is the energetic body will try very hard to give energy away. So when it is trying to give energy away, let's say you've had a really hard day, you come home, you're not feeling very good, you are overloaded with negative energy. You might pick a fight with someone in your home, or be overly triggered or overly frustrated. You come in vibing in an uncomfortable manner. And literally, it's like you've got too much negative energy and you need to vent. And when you vent, you give some of that energy away. I mean, that's the occupation of the therapist in counseling, right? Sit down, start to vent, get it all off, give that energy to the therapist, who hopefully has good enough skills to dispose of that energy correctly so that it doesn't leave on their bodies. But we do this unconsciously all the time with our significant others, our family members, and even our animals. We have too much negative energy, so we don't know how to dispose of it properly, so we give it to somebody. Unfortunately, if they do not have very good skills, guess what? They give it to us back, and that's called fighting at home or having uncomfortable vibes in your reality. The energy body, when it's trying to solve problems, it will get bogged down and feel incredibly heavy. So depression, for example, is not only deficiency across all of the bodies, physically, mentally, and emotionally, but energetically, there is a heaviness. The idea of carrying baggage and the idea that we can remove that baggage is literally happening in the energetic or etheric body. And I have a lot more to say on that topic in another broadcast. And then, of course, absorbing negative energy, where especially people who are coming into their psychic development or hands-on healing, all they have to do sometimes is touch someone and they are absorbing their negative energy. That's part of healing. Massage therapists, people do this all the time. Now, if that massage therapist does not have a mechanism for getting that other person's negative energy off of them and clearing themselves, guess what? They are going to get sick. They are going to feel depleted. They're going to feel heavy. If they continue to do the massage work without a technique or mechanism for clearing themselves, ultimately they're going to get a disease or just hate the occupation and leave it. So this is a way in which the energy body will try to solve problems either for the person or for other people, rather than solving problems at the level of their higher self. So again, what I was talking about in this broadcast was the hierarchy of the 5 aspects of the self, and what happens when we get disconnected from the soulful body and one of the 4 other bodies tries to take that leadership position and fix the problem, creating imbalances at the physical, mental, emotional, and energetic aspects of the self. So, to make a long story short, Let us be inspired to connect to ourselves at the level of the higher self, to gain our strength, find our answers, and solve our problems in the most effective and efficient ways to be strong, healthy, and at optimal in the world. Thank you very much for joining me. This is Monica Kelly. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks for listening to Monica Kelly Lightbody. For more information on downloads, workshops, and private sessions, please visit www.monicakellylightbody.com.